What's up, everybody? Welcome into Funsie, a disc golf podcast. Today we're going to debate where Gannon Buhr is going after his contract is up this year, and Ben, we'll let you start. Ben, go ahead. Ben, you can go. Anyways, it's me. It's just me here today. I haven't had to do a solo pod at least, no, it's for sure been over a year. And you would think there's a part of it that could be easier. False. Because then it's up to me to fill the entire time to make something at least half decent for you guys to listen to and not let there be any awkward space in between. So we'll do our best. A couple of things to focus on today. I guess first, where are the boys? At the point of recording this, I did already record this, and I just felt like I could do a better job. And that pains me a little bit because that was time put into something, but I want to put out at least a half decent product for the people. Ben is at Ledgestone currently. I'm sure if you watched Ledgestone, you are seeing him currently with Gannon. And Mr. Miller, I think it's public info at this point. Maybe it's not. I'm going to not actually say that. He's posted stuff with people, so I would imagine you could put the piece together about what he's doing. And same deal with Grant, if you've seen him in the same area as our boy Mr. Miller. Where do we start? So I was like, okay, what do I even do on this podcast? We're going to do 10 discs that I think have all come out this year, or releases from this year that this is not like based on sales or anything. It's just like public perception. Discs that I feel like have just gotten completely blanked. So ones that came out and maybe there could have been some hype around them, or it feels like, okay, cool, that was the next necessary step after like the success of a previous release, and then just no one cared, which is so interesting. So starting, these are no particular order. We're just going to start number 10, every Cast-A-Blast distance driver. Name one person that you know that throws, and I'm the exception, but I also, oh dude, we got the thumbs up icon going on. Sorry. Name a person aside from me, because I just mess around with discs that I'm like, hey, what does this do? Why is no one throwing this? So I have like a couple of these in my bag, but like the Cast-A-Blast Gould, which by the way, I held it. I was like, why does this feel so familiar? It feels so good. It's for sure just a Raider. 100%. It has to just be a Raider, but in Cast-A-Blast plastic. Flies great. Has like some good dome to it. And the Rask is pretty much a meme disc at this point, and it has been. No one's seriously bagging that, I would imagine. But then you also have like the Alva, which is like the flippy 11 speed, like beat-in Wraith slot. Such a good disc. What's the other one? It's like the 12404 or something like that. The Krut. There we go. We got there. I don't know anyone that's... Again, I don't feel like there's probably a good reason. It's probably just like there's so many discs. Everyone's pretty fixated on the ones that they like at this point. So like, why bother trying on some of these other ones? But maybe worth taking a look into if you just want to try something different. Have some new discs to tackle your local course with. So, Cast-A-Blast drivers. Number 9, the Gorgon. The Innova Gorgon came out, and 2 weeks later, it was like right around the same time, the Trail came out, MVP Trail. So, a disc, like they're kind of doing a similar thing. Gorgon is for sure, depending on the run, but I feel like in general is definitely more understable. But it just, no one cared because the Trail took over everything. So now no one really talks about that disc. Somewhere between like Roadrunner, Wraith, very strange because on the bottom side of the rim, it comes out like the Roadrunner. It doesn't have like an aggressive edge. Super interesting. Number 8, the Sled, the Discraft Sled, which by the way is the official disc release of Worlds. I I don't know anyone that's, well, no, Dan Hastings is backing the sled and loves it. Very strange disc where you get really quick flip up, but then at the end of its flight, it's overstable. So, and again, like flat, you can flip it, but then it'll pan out. Like really, really interesting. But like World's made it their official disc, and I would imagine it's probably just to boost sales. Like I would imagine it's not doing what they were hoping it would, but I don't think it's bad. It's for sure not a Berg style disc. It just has the similar ish hand feel, but it's more rounded, almost like Luna. But next on the list, I digress. And I could be wrong for this next one, or any of these. This is all completely subjective. It's just how it feels to me being a part of the crowd of like all you guys. The sweep. Now, did Latitude 64 make the sweep for Isaac Robinson, or did they just coexist together and the sweep was coming out, so then Isaac loved it and put his name on it? I'm not sure. I should probably know that since I'm on a podcast and talking into a microphone, and I've put this on a list and I don't even know anything about it. I do know about the disc. The sweep is pretty much like, I would say kind of close to the Contender, like Dynamic Discs Contender, if you guys have thrown that. Which that I feel like is kind of trying to be trail-ish, like very agreeable, hand feel, do anything, hyzer flip. Sweep is kind of the same thing. You get, at least for my arm speed, you'll get flip up on hyzer, and it just kind of pushes. It's a really good disc, but I don't know anyone that is bagging it or taking the time to come in and be like, yo, you guys got sweeps in stock? I hope I see them, because it's, again, like a lot of these on this list, it doesn't mean that it's a bad disc. It's just not getting, maybe there were other releases or things that came out at the same time that took people's attention away from it. Next, the Arachnid. Now, this is one I feel like that made me come up with this list. The Arachnid came out, and I think, okay, let's back up a little bit. So first, Innova had the Rolo that came out, which on paper it feels like kind of sketchy. That it's like you're gonna make a flippy mid-range for rollers. Like that seems like very, very niche and random, but takes off. And honestly, not even just because I work for Joe, I would say Joe had a lot to do with the success of that disc. Just making it his full personality, trying to throw insane usable shots with a disc that is meant for very particular shots. And him and Kyle both probably have the two most insane aces of all time with those. Anyways, so following that, I think they kind of saw that flippy mid-ranges are just very agreeable for a lot of people. Most people coming into the sport, whether you're, obviously, like, if you've been around for a bit, if you're new, kind of like the typical things that people say, anyone can throw it. But flippy mid-ranges, I think a lot of people can find a use in their bag. It's just going to be different slots. The Fox came out. It's just kind of like the next step up. Rolo OS, I guess is the term that we'll call it, which is a ton of fun. That disc zooms. I made it my personality for a long time just because it goes so far, but that's why it came out of the bag, because it goes for sure too far compared to even like fairway drivers, and it's like what's the point of having this as a mid-range? Anyways, now we're finally here at the Arachnid. They're like, okay, let's take the very successful Fox and we're going to make it just a touch more stable. And when they came out with the Star Arachnid, it was, I think, just following the Halo Star Fox. They are legitimately the exact same disc. They feel so similar. You hold them side by side. Sure, there's the most minute difference between them, but between those plastics, you're like, why would I bother with the Arachnid? Like, this flies the exact same. It feels the same. I'm just going to do the one that I know and love. Halo Star Plastic finally came out for the Arachnid, and I would imagine that's Innova being like, okay, I think a lot of people love Halo Plastic, and we need to make a noticeable difference. Like, if we put it out in Champ, no one's probably going to care. So let's put our time into this. And now it does actually fly different. Really good disc. And I think there is like sort of a cult following for it, but for what you would expect it to be and what I would imagine Innova expected it to be, it's just not quite there. Who knows? Maybe at some point. I don't even know what number we're at. The Ultra Luna, but the stock run that is now coming out. I think they're coming out. It's only putter plastics, I would imagine, like a soft and just like medium baseline plastics. The only person that I know throwing it is Zeke, Joe's son. He loves doing little touchy upshots and whatever, but I feel like they've been making the Luna more and more understable with every single thing that comes out, which is weird because they talked about the Ultra Luna when they did the battle packs about it adding stability. And I watching Austin throw it, it's such a minute difference between the Luna and the Ultra Luna. It's like, okay, cool, you hit a tree. Now they're going to fly the exact same. So it probably just comes down to a hand feel thing. It's just something new and different, but the Ultra Luna hype, I would imagine, is probably done at this point. And if it was really like doing super well, I think we would have seen it as a potential tour series for the 2026 season. Everyone's like, no, that scares me. I can't do that. I got to go for like a more safe thing. West Side Discs Velamo. It is the straight to overstable sort of really fast mid-range, like kind of like a little bit of a dome to it, and I would describe it as a Warship OS. I could not come up with a more perfect description because it feels like that, but you can put some torque on that puppy. That's a really good disc, and the problem with a disc like that is just there's nothing unique to it. It fills a slot, I guess, in the West Side lineup if you're a trilogy person, and it's good, but it's gonna have to fight super hard or have something crazy happen for it to take a spot out of a person's bag. Know what I'm saying? The Page Pierce Joy. Page Pierce Joy is a weird one because it came out around the same time as the Melita, I felt like. So you have all these discs that are kind of doing a very similar thing with different hand feels. But when people are shopping with their eyes and they see the post being put out online or talked about, I feel like you don't care or think about that because you can't actually use that tactile sense. So they've already made up their mind, I feel like, within those first couple videos of like, flies the same, I don't care. Joy is really good. Has anyone thrown ball knowers? Give me some comments. Chat. And has anyone thrown the Innova Joy? Innova Joy. Bro, I'm cooked right now. The Innova Crow. I would say those hand feels kind of similar, and I don't think they weren't like, dude, the Crow is just, we got to have that in our lineup. I know they were trying to make just an overstable version of the Soul, but the way that it came out and just like the chunky, with like the dome in the middle hand feel, very, very similar. And if not, check out the Crow or, whatever. Good luck finding it. We've had a couple come through on the used track though at another round in Charlotte. This is one that I could be mistaken with, but the DD4 that came out, did they put it out like leading up to European Open, like a few months prior, something like that? DD4 is the next stability speed uptick for the Discmania Distance Driver series, and I feel like it had its moment for like a month that people were excited about the release coming out, and they're like, oh, I actually like that disc a lot, but I don't see anyone talking about it or bagging it or throwing it or really anything at this point. I get that it's filling a very unique slot that a lot of people aren't going to find as their workhorse driver unless you're a pro, and I would imagine that's why they made it, for the sake of pros and people with high arm speed. But by default, I would imagine that makes it, you're pretty much accepting that you may have lower sales, and it's not necessarily probably about the sales as much as just trying to find the balance of like, okay, this release is probably more catered for our pros. This release is more catered for beginners or whatever. I'm sure there's entire meetings that are based around releases that come out for companies. But last one on the list. This one kind of hurts me to say. I feel like every Ricky release that has come out with Discraft, has anyone cared? And I know they do, but pretty much I feel like the most exciting one. I don't know the timeline of like which of these came out first, but you had his proto putter. Maybe that was the first thing. And he pretty much was like, that thing's so overstable, I can't putt with it, or I throw it a little bit, but pretty much I don't want it. And for those that don't know, the amount of money that goes into creating a new mold to use for discs, it is uber buckos, so much money. So Discraft isn't going to be like, oh, okay. Like, they're going to try to run that and get their money back. So they pivoted, they called it the Roost, and now Chris Dickerson, who's always putted, I feel like, with more overstable putters, just because he kind of throws like knuckleballs at the basket. And that's not me crapping on Chris's putt. He's filthy. But I feel like it's just such a pivot that makes sense. But unfortunately, Chris just isn't at the point that would make enough of a difference for sales. It's like the ship has kind of sailed a little bit. But then you had the Hallex, and it seems like that was the most successful. A couple people messing around with that sort of Onyx-esque, I suppose. Onyx, Raptor, tweener sort of thing, just different hand feel. And yeah, I would say that's probably the one that I hear the most. But then you have the Fossil, that is finally the premium pig that Robbie has talked about forever wanting. And I know pig people, Joe is a pig guy. The pig may be his approach disc. I mean, it's hard not to have a zone in the bag when he has like a finalized bag. But he is a huge pig guy. And just bizarre that finally that crowd has something. And it feels very damn close to pig hand feel. And it's just not catching on. I don't know what the problem with that be, because the disc is good. Maybe it's just too weirdly specific or wasn't marketed, and I don't know. But that's, maybe I'm missing one from Rick's lineup, but I think that's everything. So those are 10 discs. So we'll pivot at this point. I guess I'll just talk me personally. So my role in the show, if you guys have been listening for a long time, or if you're new here, welcome. Pretty much what I've found in the last over 2 years of us doing this podcast is at first we would just kind of come in and freely talk, but that would just lead to droning, and I'm not going to say that I wasn't proud of the product that we were putting out, but I felt like it could have been so much better than what we were doing at the time. So I would start coming up with topics or things for us to discuss or tier lists, and that's kind of what I've found myself doing for each of these episodes, is coming up with the ideas and just trying to keep us on track of like, okay, we spent enough time on this, divert to this, and I've definitely gotten pretty good over that time, at least with other people. Doing it by myself is I almost called it miserable. It's not miserable. I love this, and it's just way more difficult to fill the space. But sometimes I struggle to, I guess, bring up topics for myself to talk about unless someone else, like one of the boys, asks me a question. So I feel like a lot of times I'll ask Ben, I'll ask Grant, I'll ask Josh about their thoughts or how they're doing or things that they have going on. And sometimes, and I guess I could ask myself these things in the podcast, but it just feels icky for me to ask myself about like, hey, Nathan, what have you been working on? And I'm sure there is a good way that I could do that, but it feels self-referential, and I really struggle to do anything that puts a spotlight on me because it makes me feel like I'm boasting in a weird way. I'm sure someone out there can relate to this where you struggle in that way. But just a couple cool updates. I will be. I found out a couple weeks ago. Joe and myself will be out at Worlds this year in Michigan. Very exciting. I'm re-recording this on August 2nd. So that's, what is it, the end of August is Worlds? Yeah, that last. So it's coming up, baby. Definitely going to be difficult to be better, I would feel like, than Finland. Being in Finland for Worlds was one of the coolest experiences I think of my entire life that I'll remember until the day that I no longer exist. And just being able to spend time with people, like everyone in disc golf, Broad was out there, and spent a bunch of time just laughing, and it's just so meaningful. So Michigan has big boots to fill. We'll be out there. I think this is the first that people are hearing of this. We'll also be at Vermont. The Pro Tour is flying Joe out to, I think we'll be doing like an ace race and other content out there. And wherever Joe's going, I'm going. So we'll be doing content for us personally. And I feel like I'm also an incredible resource for Vermont. I've grown up going there for the last, it's been over 20 years that my family and I and my buddy's family have been going there. Like my family pretty much got suckered into doing a timeshare, which is the kind of thing where it's like, okay, like they were just a part of that era where it was like common for people to get timeshares. And it's like, well, we have it and we love it here. So we always go back every single year. And I just know the area so well. So being able to show Joe like all the local, hey dude, here's really good food here. Here's this incredible disc golf course here, and just really make a meaningful experience for us, and then and for the sake of the content as well. So I haven't been to Green Mountain Championships, which feels insane. I don't know how that's possible. Well, the year that it was at Worlds is the year that's when my wife and I got married. So wasn't able to go then. Dude, could you imagine just asking, like, yo, I think we should go to Vermont for the honeymoon. Like, what do you think? Which honestly, we probably would have done that. We love Vermont so much. But anyways, point being, excited to go there. And if you see us at any of these things, please come say hi. And it'll help reassure that I'm not just talking into the void and all of this is for something. If I'm going to, since I'm going to Vermont, dude, I would love to go to Maple Hill. I'll get into it a little bit, but I'll get into it after. I didn't get to go to Maple Hill last year because ding dong, bro. I moved here. I moved to Charlotte. So it was my first year not being able to go to the MVP Open since following disc golf after COVID. So, and it sucked. I had such a good time every single year that I've gone. 2 years ago is when I just randomly asked Austin Turner. I'm like, hey, feel free to say no. I had met him at Worlds in Virginia earlier that year, like a little bit. We just kind of talked, but it's not like, you're kind of just feeling each other out still. Feel free to say no, but is it cool if I caddy for you? Because I was working for another round at the time, just in Connecticut remotely. I was like, I can do some content and caddy, and I think we'd get like a lot of cool things out of it. And obviously he agreed, and yeah, it's the only time I've ever been a caddy, but it was so much fun. He played so well. I think he got like sixth. I want to say sixth place. To watch a pro, and now one of my best buddies, shred a course that is my home course and just feel like, obviously I'm not telling him like, yeah, bro, what you're going to want to do here is this. I don't know. It was meaningful. Like to be on the bag for the first time and see that it was making a difference and feel like me talking to him and joking around, and we're able to find like this really cool flow state where there's no like pressure put on him, and he's just able to perform and do his thing. And then last year, I know he struggled. I'm not going to claim that it's because I wasn't there, but I would love to be there this year. So here's hoping. And obviously USDGC. Be out at USDGC, which it's the best event in disc golf. If you have not taken the time to go to Rock Hill, please, I behoove will be the dictionary word of this episode. I behoove you to go take a trip. It is so worth it. And that's coming from just going to Maple Hill MVP Open. I think that's my favorite tournament overall, like the golf. But USDGC is straight up a festival. There's an entire vendor village that you can hang out. There's so much food. There's courses galore. There's disc golf everywhere. You're right next to one of the meccas of the world, Charlotte, and there's plenty of courses in Rock Hill also. It just makes so much sense. Make the trip. It's always such a good time, and I'm so lucky to have it in my backyard at this point. So yeah, come out to one of those. Come say hi. Spend time with us. We'll be doing so much content. It's insane. But back to what I referenced about Maple Hill and New England disc golf. Dude, this is going to piss some people off, but I miss New England disc golf so much. And the way that I've described it continuously, and I'm sure I've said this on this show, but I'll reiterate. Charlotte disc golf is consistently, each course is like an 8 out of 10. They're all really good. It's hard to go wrong with any of them, but there's just something that is not captured the same way that the best courses in New England are, whatever the right word is to end that. And I'm sure what's cool about a big difference, I feel like, down here in Charlotte, so many parks, so many of these courses are like in parks that the Parks and Rec take care of. Whereas if you go up in New England, I would say that that's something that holds back the amount of courses up there. A lot of them are on private land, and there are a couple, the sad part is I'm like trying to remember some of my home courses. It's been a year. Tully Lake is one that's on land that's not private land. I can't think of the actual term. It's like not military land, but it's taken care of by someone else. But otherwise, it's mostly private land, and just growing up around pay to play, and like that just does not exist down here. People think that that's a crazy idea, but you definitely feel it when you're up in New England. The amount of love that goes into those courses, and just aesthetically, all the features that are able to be in that type of environment. Sure, there's like way more rocks that just absolutely destroy your disc. I feel like that's such a staple of, for sure, Connecticut. There's just rocks everywhere, just annihilating my frisbees. But even just seeing Ben up there, I know he's in Ledgestone now, but like seeing Ben up there just in Simon videos and like all the courses that are popping up, and funny enough, I'm not a tournament guy, and that's why my bag just constantly, it's mostly secure, but I'm always messing around with new discs, used discs on my shelf, and pretty much that's my enjoyment. It's my way to clear my head. I can have an outlet that I can pretty much, like, I can just be by myself, and that's how I've grown up. A lot of the time is just doing things by myself, and it's healing for me. And there is the competitive element there. I'm not going to ignore that, because I like to be able to play better and better, but the number of times that I actually keep score is very low. It's mostly just about trying to throw really cool shots or trying new shots. So does that make me worse at disc golf? Probably, because I can play pretty much I can play, not to get too distracted. I can play a place like, for my Charlotte locals, Kilbourne or Eastway, or I recently filmed a video out at Chicago Creek, and I can play those courses and feel like I have a chance to perform well. Whereas, dude, playing the MPO layout at Hornet's Nest, you need to be able to throw hard, touchy shots. Well, not touchy. You pretty much have to know at every point of the flight what your disc is doing while throwing hard and getting putts from circle too, ideally, as an amateur. And like all parts of my game that are not good. So it fully exposes all your problems. But anyways, I'm not a part of pro disc golf scene. It's just playing tournaments. It's just never been my thing. So I've never really been a part of the like tournament scene. I've done a couple, but seeing, man, I see all the, it feels like the Daisy folk. I see, Mark that listens to this pod, MDE Blaze for all ball knowers on Instagram, just like doing his thing. And I've always talked about Noah Cronin and just like the crowd that he's a part of and the videos that he puts out. And I just see such a strong community, and the FOMO that I feel is crazy. And not to take away from living in Charlotte, because there are great people here. It's so hard to describe. If you can't tell, I'm pretty much verbally processing it. And at their best, New England courses are better than Charlotte courses. There. I'm going to say that. And it's not even close. Especially us going to Vermont, I would say, ooh, yeah, I would say the Smuggler's Notch complex of those two courses, it's damn near impossible to beat. They're so good. They complement each other very well. And just playing a park course, it doesn't hit the same. Especially for my purpose, where it's kind of just about throwing cool shots and being out in nature, and as woo-woo as that sounds, and just trying to blow off some steam. And like I said, it's healing for me. As aesthetically pleasing and far in nature as I can feel like, the better. And most of the courses, unless you're at Bradford where you can't hear any cars, it's kind of difficult to find here. And I live very close to I'm just doxing myself right now. I live very close to Kilbourne and the like pocket of courses around the Another Round store. So pretty much how I feel is, why am I going to go out of my way to go to these far away courses? And I do. Like it's a Sunday right now. So I took the time to go to like Bradford. Yeah, you gotta. Top 100 course in the world, and so much fun. So yeah, I guess I just want to let all my New England homies, like seeing Dylan Capiccioli do his thing. I'm seeing people up at Brewster Ridge Open, Daisyland. Just want to let those guys know that I'm thinking of all of them, and hope that they're having a good season. Just everything's going well for them, and also grateful for Greatest Media Team. I've never actually had a conversation with Rivas. Q, I'm not going to say I know Q well. I don't know if he's still a part of it, but I know him and Rivas are the two that started that channel. They've just made something really cool. I pretty much get to see New England disc golf and Carolina's disc golf. The two places that I'm familiar with, and it's such an incredible outlet for me to follow along with tournaments and just get perfect disc golf that I can put on in the background or sit down after a long day and turn my brain off. So shout out to all those people. Okay, here's something. Wish I had water. Here's something that I haven't been able to talk about on the podcast at all, for that same reason that I mentioned earlier about not wanting to send alley-oops to myself to talk about things about me. And funny enough, Josh texted me one day about this before I even announced it, and he saw right through it. So the idea that I came up with, just trying to come up with some stuff for another round, and which, by the way, I hope people have been enjoying Another Round's YouTube channel and the content. It's been a lot of fun. I am very lucky for the job that I have, and it's coming along well. We're coming up on 30,000 subscribers, and just learned a lot. And I hope people, when they think of disc golf content, they think of Another Round on YouTube, hopefully soon, because the ideas don't stop, and I think we're putting out a good product finally. I am curious how people, when they watch it, view it, because for anyone that doesn't create or make things, or have never made like a song or a video, the amount of time that you put into it, you've seen it at every different part that it's been at. So you have the final product eventually, and you're trying your best to make a good final product, what you would perceive a good product to be. But you can never view it, you can never view the final product the same way that I feel like someone that wasn't a part of any of the process is able to view it at that moment, take it at face value. So I guess if anyone does watch our stuff, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to read what you guys have, and or just comment regardless, because Funsie comments are some of my favorite, and I love getting to interact with you guys and see what you have to say. Okay, back to what I was saying. Coming up with ideas for Another Round content, I was like, what if it's not dependent that I have to be out on the course all the time and be doing something. What if I edit a video for every top disc golf content creator, or not even top, like I just edit something for each of these people, and just that part alone, before I dive into details. I told Joe about it, and he was like, yeah, I just don't think it's quite there. Maybe we'd have to make it something else. And I was like, okay, that's fine if he denied it. Like, that's all part of good constructive criticism. But I really feel like there's something there, and it brings in the community aspect. So I'm going to be doing it for my own personal video then. Make something from it, because I think there's such a cool opportunity for collaboration. I've only done it for one person so far, because Joe's been on vacation, and it's just doing all those parts by myself has been difficult. It's me just locking in and being on my laptop or phone and editing for forever and shutting out everyone else. So it's been a butt kicker, just trying to get everything done. But the first person that I did it for, I edited a video for Dynamic Discs, their YouTube channel. I reached out to Bobby with the idea. I let him know everything. And after giving him some details, he was game for it. And I wanted them to be first because Dynamic, as we know, is a brand and a channel that has had difficulty over the last couple of years. And I think they're doing a really good job making the comeback. And I think it can be easy to view being like, oh, I think they should do this, this, and this, this, and this, and dude, then they would have success for sure. And it's like, I don't know about all that, because personally I feel like they're doing a good job. It just comes down to consistency, and I feel like they're still trying to find their voice. They had their voice when they had Danny and everyone, and now they're trying to figure out what that is now. And you could tell there's inspiration from what Broad's doing, and having things that are a bit more low key, or seeing the success of a Jay Milley video and trying to put in sound effects and more heavily edited, storyline based videography. That's the best word I can come up with. So I was like, okay, let me see what I can do with this. And I essentially edited it like an Another Round video, where I kind of bounce. I feel like we're somewhere between those two, probably much closer to what Broad's doing. And I'm just curious, like, what I could make if I was given all the raw files, like what could I do with it? Like, would it be any different than the product that they're making? And pretty much each of the people that I ask is going to be, sorry, I'm getting a text, so just giant ding in my ears. Got to silence that. I pretty much ask like, hey, do you want me to edit this the way, in the same way that you do, sort of, but like put my spin on it? Or do you want me to just take full control of like what I think the product could be or like could benefit from? So I kind of just did my own thing for the dynamic video. He was game for that, and all the people that I ask coming up, that'll be the same question to them. And in the end, he asked like what I think that they could improve on, and I really don't. I feel like just in general, keep it more, not low key, but I think the sound effects and stuff for their group can be somewhat to a minimum. I think because they're all kind of older, it feels there's such a fine line with sound effects. I feel like of they can add really fun emphasis, but if you mess them up at all, or there's something just barely off, especially being someone like an older, people that are older and trying to do a younger audience sort of style of editing, I feel like it could blow up in your face so quickly. So they have a good group of people. Like, I like what Emacs doing. They've got Jackie in the group, and they all have like their own space that they fill. And Bobby, I think, does a really good job of being the comedic relief and just the one that they can both be like, ha ha, what you did is so dumb. We're just teasing each other. Again, I think it's just consistency. So just letting their personality speak and just keep doing that over and over and over. And it's not going to be easy, but they will build their audience. And I feel like if anything, what I've learned over time is everyone's trying to get things to go viral. But when you have a video that goes viral, sure, you'll get a ton of subscribers, followers, but they're not ride or dies. They're not people that care about you and what you're doing. They care about the moments that you're putting out. And that's it. They just want to see like, hey, make me laugh, or make me feel, I don't know, like I want some nostalgia, or I just want to feel something, or give me useful information. Anyways, so I guess this is me putting it out into the world. If you would like me to edit videos for you, which, by the way, I'm not going to say what the name of the video was that I edited for the Dynamic Discs YouTube channel. You're just going to have to go through and listen to listen to the audiobook of the Dynamic Discs YouTube channel. Watch all their YouTube videos, and just go support over there anyways, because they're trying hard and they're making some good stuff. Even that sounds so horrible. The disc that they have coming out, because Bobby sent me over like the Intent, the Mutiny, the Contender. They're honestly putting out some really good frisbees. There's their stock is just low right now, and by that I mean people just aren't taking the time to look at what they've got going on, and that's just cyclical by nature. And I don't care what you're focusing on. Discs are the exact same, whereas Dynamic, obviously they were popping before. Prodigy is on the come up right now, and I feel like that has completely shifted, and some brands are kind of on their way down. Like that will forever be the case. But yeah. Anyways, if you would like me to edit a video for you, I'm going to be asking everyone. I'll be asking Mr. Miller here on the pod. I'll do one for Gannon, and if he'll let me. Hell, straight up, if you make consistent disc golf content, and I've heard of you, but you're just not really, you're not like super well known, like, brother, I'll do it. It's all for the sake of this YouTube video about me editing for all of these disc golf content creators. I think there's just such a cool concept there, and it's going to be a metric ton of work, but I think someone has to do it, and I'm willing to be that guy. But it's in my free time, which honestly has been difficult lately. I'm not saying that you're going to get it back automatically, but in my free time, I would love to work on some of your guys' stuff and let me know the parameters that you want, and maybe we can like run a disc for it at the end, or I don't know. Again, verbally processing and deciding as I go. I'm trying to think if there's any way that we can start wrapping up. A disc golf podcast that I've been listening to lately. I don't know if you guys listen to a ton of podcasts. I would imagine if you're listening to this one, there's a good chance you do. But another one that is has popped up, is it Out of Productions? Again, talking about something that I just have. Yes, the Out of Production podcast, started by Terry Miller and Nate Doss. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't. They're pretty much going through and giving flowers to all of these iconic people in the sport that we have to thank for pretty much disc golf being what it is today. And maybe they're people, you've probably heard of some of them, but a couple of these I straight up have never heard of, and I'm just grateful to hear their stories. They are long. They're like 3 hours-ish a piece, but they've had on like Steve Dodge. They had on Stork, I think is his name. That's the first episode. Just all these. So you get like a bunch of backstory that I'm glad that they are showing off, because disc golf started, what was it, like 50 something years ago at this point? So to have all these people that were there at the beginning and getting their stories firsthand, I think is super important before, let's say someone tried to make an Out of Production podcast, being the title, that what they're doing, if that podcast didn't exist. Let's say they started, they were trying to make that exact type of podcast 100 years from now or 50 years from now, there would be so many details that we would have lost. So cool that they're going in and getting the info and sharing these cool stories. So I would recommend checking that out. Also, I don't know how we haven't had Steve Dodge in the pod yet. It just makes so much sense. He's been such an iconic person. Ben knows him very well. The only problem is I would have to come up with unique questions that he doesn't get all the time, because there are the typical things: starting the Pro Tour, the board games, working for Vibram, and I'm sure there's plenty in there. The man's had a very interesting, exciting life, but that'll have to happen at some point. Random detail that I just remembered: if anyone's been wondering, Nico LaCastro been very quiet on tour, and that's because I'm pretty sure he hasn't been touring. He has played some of the tournaments, and I heard through the grapevine, he essentially was like, I just can't afford to do it. And a gentleman reached out that heard this and paid for him to go on tour for the rest of this season. A gentleman with a lot of money, which is A, awesome, B, insane that someone would take the time to do that, but also C, kind of sad, because regardless of what you think about Nico, it is kind of alarming to not see him out there being a part of the Pro Tour. So it is cool that we'll see him out there again. Hopefully he makes the most of it, and if nothing else, it's a very cool gesture to give him the money to do that, and we can see him back out there. What if I ask myself? So I feel like a lot of times when a guest comes on this pod, I ask them what their wildest story is. I can reiterate the one that I think I mentioned on here before, but I figure I'll answer that question. My wildest story. Ooh, okay. I have a couple. First one is I was doing field work at a place called Lisbon Meadows. It's a tiny 9-hole course in Lisbon, Connecticut that was very close to where I used to live. So they have a big soccer field there that you can throw pretty much any drive at. And I was at the opposing end of the field over by the woods, throwing my discs back to my bag. And pretty much where my bag was, there's a walk between the previous hole to the next hole. So I had thrown, let's say, half my bag back to my bag at that point. Someone came playing through, just like a tiny end of a shoulder bag, and he sees all my discs on the ground, and he starts picking them up, loading them into his bag, one by one. That brother must have thought he hit the jackpot that day. And eventually I was like, this has to be a joke. And I yelled to him words that I can't say on here. And then he looked up at me, and he just poured them all out on the ground and just looked absolutely mortified, like he got caught. Because he did. I mean, that's all due respect. No respect. Just kidding. That's a really stupid thing to do. And then I think he felt bad, and he was picking up my discs, acting like he was just trying to help me pick them up for me. And so that one's kind of wild. Another one, I was at Mohegan Park Disc Golf in Norwich, Connecticut. There's a very tiny field next to the gazebo that you can rip some shots in. This is when I was practicing sidearms, because I think I was just able to throw like really flippy stuff, and I was just stoked because I was having a breakthrough in that moment. And this random guy is just like out in the distance stumbling, definitely under the influence of something. And I sidearmed an H4, Prodigy H4, which if you haven't thrown, ooh, I don't know if they're not actively making that disc. They should. I'm sure they'll be bringing it back because that disc is nasty. H4, sidearm, into a headwind, just seeing how it would fly, and obviously it would, it flipped over. This guy's like trying to catch my discs as I'm throwing them, and I just try to ignore it because I'm like, I just don't want problems. He comes over, and I was like, were you trying to catch them? He's like, yeah, I was trying to catch your discs. I went to go pee over there because I just drank a bunch of stuff, and and just pretty much couldn't tell what he was saying at the very end. Grateful that he didn't catch my discs, especially just straight pee-pee hands. What's up, dude? Or just classic. Look, I don't know if it was rage bait, but again, at Mohegan Park Disc Golf Course, hole 1, first hole's tee pad is just directly there in the parking lot. So whoever's there in the parking lot is watching you tee off. This guy's just having a conversation. It's like dude, he's probably only in his late 40s, but just has led a tough life and looks like he's 60 years old. But I throw, and this is my first year of playing. And he's like, yeah, dropped your shoulder a little bit on that one. I just looked back at him. I'm like, yeah? He's like, yeah. He's like, sorry, I don't know if you like my unsolicited advice, but you're going to get it anyways because that's just the kind of person I am. And obviously tool bag, I'm sure there's good intent behind it. The question is, was he right? He may have been right. I don't know. Still pisses you off, though. Like, especially being early on in disc golf. Like, after a year, I would say you're pretty much like, I'm all in. This is my jam. I'm going to make this my entire personality. But that's, like, kind of the cusp, So if it was any earlier than that, I could have just been like, yeah, these are the kind of people that play. Like, I don't want any part of this. I think those are some of the craziest that come to mind. They're not that crazy, but they're at least fun experiences that I've had out on the course. Tour Life always does pet peeves. What's my disc golf pet peeve? See, this is my pet peeve is like very. I feel like mine is kind of a toxic one, and I acknowledge that it's a toxic one. It's just like, and this is me playing from a solo perspective, but like people that play super super fast, there's something about it that irks me, and I recognize that it's a me problem, and you can just let them play through. I don't know, man. As I say it out loud, it sounds so stupid, but I was like, dude, this guy's sprinting on the course. There was one time that I played. Oh man, it's down in Mystic. It's not Dragonfly. It's the other one that's been restored like 3 years ago. Mystic, Connecticut. Someone, if anyone knows it, please let me know in the comments. I've sprinted through this course. It was on our way home from, dude, I think like Easter or something like that. And on our way home, we played I just played disc golf. My wife tagged along and recorded shots and whatever. She just, what an angel. I only threw an envy on every hole, and I shredded it. I probably shot like 11 down. It's just a little par 3 course. The average hole length is 250, maybe. It might even be lower than that, and I shredded it. And I would look back on every tee pad. The guy is already there. I've never... I think I played 18 holes, and this is very, very wooded, uphill, downhill, just trying to traverse rocks and not very clear paths between holes, and you kind of have to like jump down rocks. Anyways, point being, I was sprinting through the course with one disc, and the guy was just always there behind me. I still think about that, and I don't know, maybe I'm wild for being pissed off that someone's playing super fast, because like I said, you can always let them play through, and I do, of course. Obviously, being a disc golf content creator, always let people play through. For some reason, that one instance, I was like, "What's this dude's deal? What's this dude's deal?" I think that's gonna do it. Appreciate you guys. If you made it 57 minutes into this pod, it means a ton. Yeah, because somehow I managed to talk the whole time. Oh, that's achievement unlocked for sure. If you are watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. Rate us if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music or anything. As much as silly as it seems, it helps the podcast a ton. And thank you to all of you that leave comments. Like I said, that's one of my favorite parts, is just being able to talk with you. And yeah, I don't know, because normally we record on Mondays. All the boys are going to be busy. Maybe I'm just doing back-to-back solo episodes. So good luck to me. I don't even know if we're recording tomorrow yet. But anyways, hope everyone's having a great summer. Spend some time with your loved ones. I think a lot of problems that we have, because I've been feeling it a little bit lately. Like I said, talking about the FOMO of seeing people back in New England having a great time and whatever. I know it's social media and it's all cherry-picked, but really take the time to take care of yourself and not put off some of the things that you're like, oh, I'll get around to it, and just make sure you address them. And I think it's important. And just make the most of the time. Just have fun in the now, even though we're all part of the rat race. Make sure that you're enjoying the journey as well. But anyways, until next time, guys, Funsie out. I'm not going to say Funsie in a high voice.